Hey, Portia, we had some troubles with the link earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, but we had to reset the link. So
Oh, no problem. How are
technology
you?
always. So I'm going to go ahead and get started as people join us. Let me turn up my volume.
Cool, cool.
Okay, cool. I'm going to share my screen. Da, da, da. Where are we? Okay. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us today. We're starting a little late because we had some tech issues as always. But my name is Jasmine and I host a weekly marketing hack session, 30 minutes with the Black Founders Texas Facebook group. Feel free to join it. If you don't know about it, feel free to click on the link or the tag. You can kind of click on there. We share resources, articles, we also highlight and celebrate things happening for Black founders in DFW, but in Texas too. So this week we're talking about holiday marketing strategies. I'm excited about this one because it is top of mind. And each week I always ask for suggestions on what we should cover. And this one seemed to be a big one that people were asking about. So I'm excited about this one. And if you've got questions, you can, because we're broadcasting this one live, I think, this week. So drop them in the comments and I'll get to them afterwards. Or if you're logged into Zoom, you can, of course, put them in the chat too. So let's go ahead and get started. So my name's Jasmine, as I shared. I probably know most of you that are probably watching this, but in case we haven't met, I have an agency called The Start. I also founder of a new platform, a new project called Her Texas. Here's my email address, social channels if you'd like to connect. I started the Black Founders Texas group actually almost 2 years ago because I felt like we needed a resource for Black founders. We have lots of amazing founders here that are doing really cool stuff in Texas, but we need more resources, more connectivity, more community. So that was the impetus behind the group. Save the date. So we will be doing a virtual event on December 14th, how to do business in Texas. I used to host these offline. Actually, I think the first one I hosted was at Spaces, Portia. I think I hosted one of these.
Yeah.
Right. And I met, I'm working with two female founders now that I think they came to these sessions. So since we
Oh,
can't
cool.
yeah, since we can't meet in person, we're going to do a virtual until we can meet in person. So this is a chance for you to meet uh, various leaders, so you can connect, have some faces and names, especially if you just moved to Texas or you just moved your business to Texas. But it also will be organizations, any events coming up, just really trying to hopefully get you plugged in. This will be a monthly recurring event. So I'm excited about that. So you can save the date. We'll be making that live soon. So let's get into it. Let's talk about holiday marketing. So this is such a big topic that we're going to do it in two parts. This first part, though, is just going to give you an overview of things you should know about. And then the second part will give you actual real examples. So, because there's only so much we can cover in the 30 minutes, this is going to give you some strategies to consider as you think about your own holiday marketing. So, just an overview, online marketing is really important right now. And obviously, because of COVID-19, more people are spending time online. Holiday season will look different, less travel, more purchases, and virtually or socially distanced gatherings with loved ones. So, your online marketing strategy is super important, not just for the holidays, but just in general. So, 7 strategies to consider this holiday season. I just did a quick list of things I thought that could be the most effective for you right now. I also just always trying to get suggestions from other founders or people that are looking for answers and things. And so this list seemed to be a good overview to get started with. So these are 7 strategies to consider. First one, but before we get started, I would say planning ahead. So yes, you can still do things for the holiday marketing. I'm a resource if you need help with digital marketing, or if you're actually looking to do something on radio or OTT, which we'll talk about a little bit. I can connect you with that as well. But it's always better to start early in general, especially with online marketing and especially with holiday marketing, because you just miss out on opportunities that now we're right here. And so just because of deadlines, you can't take advantage of everything. I'd like to start actually in June to start planning for holiday marketing. And that's just because when I started my business, I didn't have a budget. So I just try to look for as many free opportunities as possible. And, free things go fast. And so the earlier you get out ahead of everybody, the better. August is a good time though. If June seems too early, then August is a great time to start thinking about what you're going to do for the holidays. So your first thing you need to do right now, and I would say you need to do this ASAP, is a website e-commerce audit. So a good important stat that I wanted to share was in the first half of 2020, e-commerce activity grew by 30%. And some experts are saying that the pandemic sped the shift to e-commerce by 4 to 6 years, meaning companies that weren't planning on doing e-commerce or getting any kind of digital marketing strategy, they weren't planning on doing it for a couple of years, are now doing it. And that's mostly because of the pandemic. So this is a great time to clean up your copy, make sure it's current. Are your links working? You'd be surprised. I go on a lot of sites and the links don't work. Are your pages live? Do you have current images? If you got a photo from 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it's time to update that so people can recognize you. If you don't have your current offerings on there, so you've been so busy, if you just rolled out something new and you don't have it on your website, this is a must do. You've got to do this ASAP. And then if you're linking to third-party applications, just make sure they're working. Sometimes those third-party applications like a Shopify, PayPal, Eventbrite, all those, sometimes they have changes. You just never know. It's just important that they all work because people are just, their attention span is very short. People are very demanding. So if your links don't work, they move on quick. So it's important to just make sure everything's clean, current, up to date. And I always say it's keep it simple. Like if you can't do anything extensive, just keep it super simple and clean and easy. Don't do anything too extensive right now, especially if you don't have a team. Customer service. So this is a really big one. And a lot of these things I'm sharing, these are things you should kind of be considering anyway when it comes to marketing. But for holiday marketing, we already know that this year is super stressful. It's more stressful than normal. And people don't have as much money this year either. And they're stuck inside. So it's a tough combination of all sorts of things, right? So one of your strategies you could be thinking about is how can I, me personally, my business or my product be of service? How can I alleviate stress for my customers or people that I'm prospecting? I think content is a great way. If your customers happen to be mothers, providing content that helps them make things easier with their families. If you've got customers that are single women in their 20s, what can you provide to them, or what tips or a guide can you help them? So content is always queen. People say king, but I say queen. And so content's always should be an important part of your strategy. And if you don't have a lot of money, content's free. It's just your time. Now, of course, if you want the content to be popping, if you're not a great writer, you probably will need to hire someone or consult someone. But content's the easy way. Offer an additional service for the holidays too, depending on what you do. You can offer, extend to what you normally do. So maybe you're someone who sells products, but you also want to offer masks, right? If you do design masks, or maybe you want to offer some sort of concierge on top of what you're doing. I know for me, I'm horrible at gift wrapping. I would love to just send my stuff, or like someone to come by a curb, pick it up, drop it off. Because my wrapping skills, that's why I always do gift bags or gift cards. I'm just too impatient. But if someone was offering concierge level services for me, like, hey, we'll do that. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. So I think that could be a really cool bonus. And then start contacting your customers directly. Like I will talk about this a little bit soon out of eBlast, but just send them an email and just say, how are you doing? I mean, this is just a very basic level. Hey, just wanted to check on you in the holiday season. How's this year been for you? Like if you haven't talked to your customers in a while, this might be a good time. And whether you have 5 or 50, I think the time spent actually individually emailing people is well spent. And it's something that you can't get back, that rapport you build. Email marketing, speaking of. So we talked about this in a previous marketing hack. So if you're in the Black Founders Texas group, I always share these slides there. So you can go there if you want to download. We did a really good session on email marketing. And that's one of those topics too that could go on forever. But people are very busy right now. Even if they're at home, they're still inundated with just trying to figure out what they're going to do, right? Like the virtual Thanksgiving thing. Are we trying to travel? Like, what are we doing? And then you're also getting a ton of more meeting requests, online meeting requests. So the people may not respond to that Zoom meeting invitation, but they will respond to, or they may not pick up your phone call, or they may miss your mail, but they are checking their emails. So that's the one thing that if you don't do anything else, send something. I mean, if you say, Jasmine, all these other strategies, I don't like them, I don't have time for them, I think they're boring. Okay, but the email, send some sort of email that acknowledges that what's happening. Because the worst thing you can do, and I get emails like this all the time, I'll get email promotions and stuff, and I'm like, do they not know we're in a pandemic? I mean, sometimes the tone's off. So send something. If you haven't sent an email out to your current clients or previous clients, partners, it's a good idea to send an email just saying, acknowledging where we are, the holiday season is upon us, and maybe some sort of nice gesture or some kind of a comment. Now, we'll get into this in a second, that you could also use the email for some sort of deal. But send something is the bottom line. Just send some sort of email, whatever it is, send something. Don't end 2020 without sending some sort of an email. Native advertising. This is what you guys have probably seen, that sponsored content, advertorial, promoted posts, or branded content. So this is basically a paid ad where the content blends in with its environment. So one of the stats that I like is that research shows that people pay 53% more attention to it than other forms of advertising. And it's because it's kind of like a gotcha. I always use this example with my mom when we used to, when we were younger, making spaghetti or any kind of, she would always put vegetables in the sauce, right? So it's like a low-key, sneaky way to have you eat your vegetables. I actually liked my vegetables, so she didn't have to do that for me. I ate everything. But sponsored content is, I don't want to say sneaky because that sounds bad, but it's kind of like it blends in, right? As opposed to just a huge ad that's just kind of out of the place. This is like branded content, a promoted post, or advertorial. This extends your content distribution. So the most common way to do this form of advertising is through a blog, a news site, some sort of a media company. You can also do this through influencers. But what it does is it extends your content out past what you currently offer. So your website, your social channels, it's getting you out for some additional distribution, which is great. It also helps, as we shared earlier, to capture the attention of targets better than traditional, which is going to lead to some more conversations, people engaging and clicking on things, and hopefully some conversions. I click on something, I'm ready to buy. I will say this is one of those things that the more time you give yourself in advance, you can plan out a really effective native advertising strategy. You still can advertise right now. There's lots of opportunities, lots of online platforms, blogs, news sites that you can still advertise with. Just the more time you give yourself, the more you can kind of be strategic about where you want your advertisement to go. I will get into a little bit with the influencers, but I think that also, depending on who you partner with, could be another way to get your content out there too. And typically won't take a lot of time to plan that. If you have questions, feel free to, like I said, put them in the chat. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, you can also put them in the comments. This session is usually only private to the Black Founders Group. I did want to open this one up just because it's holiday marketing, but future ones will always host these in the Black Founders Texas group. The group is for Black founders, but of course, we welcome everybody there, but just that's what the focus of that group is building engagement, educating, informing, and building a community for Black founders. But of course, everyone's welcome to that group if you want to join it. Here's some examples of native advertising. So here's one over here. So it just kind of blends in. Now, a lot of people in the holidays, there's going to be a lot of sponsored content, which is another reason why I say to start early, because not everybody is going to be promoting and hyping things up. So I always like to start a little earlier. This one's cool too. It's promoted by Patron, and it was part of a trending now list. So there's all kind of creative stuff. You really want to work with your media platform or your the influence or whatever to come up with something creative. And once again, the more time you have, the more you can be super creative. Deals, Not really a whole lot to say about this, except this local IQ quote that 75% of consumers report search their email boxes for relevant deals and coupon codes. I'm one of those people. I'm a slave to J. Crew right now, Jasmine. I fall for it. And I fall for it every time. I'm like, this is the same ad. I keep clicking on the same stuff. But especially right now, and especially in this year where people that they want to still celebrate the holidays and buy gifts and do nice things for clients, but they don't have the same income or revenue. Now, deals doesn't mean you always have to do a discount. And I think I've talked about this in a session before. I'm not really a huge fan of discounts. Specifically, it actually really depends on your company or whatever, but you can do specials, you can do rewards, and you can do offers. So deals can take the shape of many different things, but it's a no-brainer, right? Offering some sort of special reward offer deals. And as we shared earlier, you could use native advertising, right? One of the sponsored content advertorial to promote that, or you could send it out via email blast. So we talked about that. Or as you're thinking about your customer service and you're individually emailing your customers, you can talk to them about what's happening with the company. What are you offering? So I always like to start with some personal connections. I don't like to start with the selling right off the bat. Start from some special, some actual connecting with, if you're going to individually contact your customers, and see if they're even open to having a dialogue. And if they are, then you can of course share anything you have coming up. Videos are always here to stay. And similar to the trends we see with virtual events, COVID means more people are consuming more online video, and it has quadrupled. And you could probably see this though, right? Like everybody's shooting video. So, and you would say, oh gosh, if everyone's shooting video, I shouldn't shoot video too. No, it doesn't mean that. I mean, it's going to be crowded space, but this is where the more creativity you have, when you think outside the box, this is what that calls for. When everybody's doing something, it's now for you to start being super creative. So you can create video ads for streaming services. So I don't know about you, but like I'm on Hulu all day long. I actually don't have a TV. I watch most of my stuff through Hulu or Netflix. But streaming services, the amount of streaming is through the roof, and it's called OTT, over the top. That's when you see those ads on a Hulu, Netflix, even the Disney streaming service. Any streaming services, you can create video ads. If you have questions on that and need help with that, let me know. I can kind of get you plugged in. You do have to decide what platform you want. And usually you can work with a media company to help you get that going. So I can definitely, if you need help with that and you're thinking about that, I can definitely connect you. Original video content for your social channels, of course. And then live video for unboxing if you have a really cool product. If behind the scenes, if you have a service or you have a really great team. Tastings, if you've got any kind of food or beverage, would be great to do a live video. I will share this though. A lot of times people get discouraged with live video because they say, "Oh, I only had 2 people join on, or I only had 6 people or whatever." The power of live video, it is alive, right? But people are inundated with live video. So the expectation is just to do a really great job with the live video. Think like you have 50 people, right? Because the power of the live video is actually after the live video ends. It's the time people are going to go back and watch that video content after. So don't get discouraged if you only have your mom and one other person on there, because the live video is really your chance to show your personality, or if you've got a great team member or partner for you guys to show, if you've got cool products, show people, go through it. If you've got a cute office, or you've got a fun team, if you have a cool food, something you're selling, or wine, perfect time for you to do it. Partner. Okay, so this is our last one. So this one I think is a great one too. So there's 2 ways you could partner this holiday season. You could go the charitable route and invest in that partnership and find a nonprofit that shares the same values as your company. And you both could partner on a giving promotion to promote the cause to both your audiences. So you could pick something that you sell, offer, a service, a product, and work with that nonprofit to either give them a portion of it. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. But the key is to find a nonprofit that shares the same values, because then your content can be in alignment. And it's also easier for the nonprofit to promote on their audience, for their audience too. I've seen companies do this where they'll select a nonprofit. There's really no connection to it. So it feels kind of like a disconnect or missed opportunity to me. So if you are you are offering tutoring services for students, then finding a nonprofit that's educational based would be a good fit. If you have a wine service, or you market to women, finding a nonprofit that focuses on the food and wine industry, or that helps restaurants right now, could be huge. Or finding a nonprofit that helps women with training, to better their lives personally. I mean, these are kind of an alignment partnership, so that when you both promote it, there's some synergy there, and the audience, regardless of which platform I'm on, it makes sense. And the influencer marketing, of course, is always a good way to promote your products through a personality that people already trust. I will say influencer marketing has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. Influencer marketing in the beginning used to be about finding someone that had a ton of followers. I've worked with so many different influencers that had huge followings, and some that only have 500. And I would say that it's not always the size or the number of followers, but it's their engagement, and it's the relationship they have with their followers. So you can work with someone that's got 500 followers, but the people that follow them really trust them, and they give them feedback and they comment. You can have someone who has 50,000 followers, and no one's really speaking to them. There's really no relationship there. And for me, if I'm a small business owner, every dollar you have counts. Like, it's so important that you spend your money wisely. And so you want an influencer too, that same thing with the nonprofit, that embodies your values and what your company or your brand is all about. If you're all about helping the community and fun and family, then that's the influencer you want to look for. You don't want to just pick an influencer because they have a ton of followers, because that doesn't always translate to a good partnership. And I would also tell you this too, that just because I have a lot of followers does not mean I know how to market. That's one. Two, that I know how to do a business partnership, and that I know how to be a good partner. Because there's also a lot of times too, you'll have an influencer that's fantastic content, but as far as the exchange for a business owner, like, that's the disconnect sometimes. Because influencer marketing, some of those influencers have parlayed that and created businesses, which has been amazing. But a lot of them kind of are just content creators, and nothing wrong with that. But as a business owner, you've got a lot of different things you're thinking about when you decide to hire influencer marketing. You're not just worried about the content of that post. Like, it has to really make sense and come back to your bottom line as well. So it's always great to find an influencer that has some business savvy, or has got some relationships, or they've worked with some other partners that you could contact. But the holidays are a great time to do that, especially if you yourself are shy and don't like to be the spokesperson for your brand, which some people are like that. I totally get it. Or you don't have the time to do it, or your content, you don't have, maybe you don't feel like content creation is your strong suit. It's a great time to connect with someone who does amazing content. And there's some influencers that are putting out just beautiful, beautiful content. They're super creative, really great to work with. So you just have to do a little bit of research. You just don't want to go on the number of likes. Okay, so a real recap. So as I said, for this part one, this is just an overview of strategies for you. In the part two, which will be not next week, because next week's a holiday, but then the next part two, we'll go through examples of each one of these in more detail, so you have some. Even next week or the week after, still not too late for you to do these things. So although I will always keep saying that the earlier you start, the better, but you still have lots of times to do an e-commerce check or audit for your website, provide next level customer service, get an email out before December 31st. Native advertising is always an option for you as well. That's just the deadlines are going to be based on the actual publication or the media company you decide to work with. Deals are always a good deal, are always a good thing. They don't have to be discounts. It could be rewards. It could be offers. It could be specials. You can be creative. Video is huge. It will be here forever and ever. You can use that one video and parlay in multiple different platforms, so that one video becomes very, very powerful. And then of course, partner. Don't think you have to do everything yourself. Find a great nonprofit. People love to support other nonprofits during the holiday season, but this year especially, and it could have started a lot with the Black Lives Matter movement and the push to support Black-owned businesses. A lot of people are looking to support local businesses. Maybe think about how your company can partner with another local business too. So you guys join forces, especially if it's just you, if you're solopreneur, you don't have a lot of time, or you're just feeling very overwhelmed. I think the big consensus here is for you to do something. Like, don't let the holiday season and all the different options overwhelm you. Like, just do something, put yourself out there to do something for your customers, whether you have 1 or 100, or if you don't have any and you're looking for prospects. Like, you have the ability now to use the holidays for something to show that you're part of the community and to give people an idea of your personality too. So that is our overview. We are a little bit over time. If you have questions, I'm in the Facebook group, so I'm always there. If you want to tag me and say, Jasmine, what about this? Happy to answer your questions. I will say this, I have either tried pretty much everything, paid for it, invested in it. I've failed at something, usually made a mistake with it, or one of these was really successful for me. So because I've just been doing this for so long, so let me use my experiences to help you out and to save you some time and shortcuts. If you need connections with the OTT, if you're like, yes, I think I should be on Hulu, or I really want to think about that, I can get you plugged in there. If you're just not sure what influencers, let's talk about that too. Happy to work with you one-on-one if you'd like. Here's my email again. But thank you guys so much for joining us this week. This is a big topic, so we will do a part 2 after Thanksgiving, but I hope you guys have an amazing holiday. I will share these slides in the Facebook group. And if you have questions, of course, let me know there. But thanks so much, guys, for joining us this week. And I hope that this was helpful. So have a good holiday.